The Petroleum Supply Amendment Bill was tabled before Parliament today. The NSSF has launched the whistleblowers platform where employees can now report their employers that are not meeting the NSSF, and Airtel was recently listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange. That and more is what you should anticipate on today's show by myself, of course, Rona Nahabwe, together with Pedson Mumbele and Samla Hanifa, where we bring you all the best business gist and insights so that we can analyze together and we give us insights. But of course, beginning with what is trending today, and of course looking at the Petroleum Amendment Bill, the Natural Resources Committee has commenced its examination of the 2023 Petroleum Supply Amendment Bill. Representatives from the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, who are responsible for this bill, approved this before committee yesterday, and they disclosed that government intends to exclusively obtain petroleum products from a company called Vito, a company with a direct access to the refinery, and the Uganda National Oil Company is said to have a monopoly on the local supply of the petroleum products, although this move is facing opposition from other stakeholders. And of course, we're going to get the gist of this matter just in this clip.
Where the Constitutional Court ruled that against a monopoly which was being created by all imports going through only one entity. I think that's what my colleague was trying to, in terms of alluding to, that actually the Constitutional Court pronounced itself on that.
Perspective of the players, like Mayeski, which is represented by HK International here, and from the other company that had been there, you realize that they are indicating that Uganda government never opened it for competition to procure a company that would deal with UNOC. That's one thing they have raised. And they have provided alternatives in a price, not monopoly. They are saying with them they would introduce what we call price monopoly, or price monopoly, which means that some people would get out because of the price.
People we are meeting are business persons. They're looking for opportunities to make money using whichever end. To me, my biggest problem is that they have exploited us for too long, and none of them provided a solution. They say some of them are saying they've been providing this solution to other countries, Zimbabwe, Sudan. Why haven't they been proposing this? There's a time even when we met them about escalating prices of fuel, none of them suggested a solution. They are simply explaining to us then why the cost was that high. Now that government is deciding to engage a sole person to work with, they are coming in with alternatives. I condemn government for suggesting a monopoly, okay? But I'm equally very angry with them. Why they are suggesting now? They are proposing solutions which they should have proposed then, and they didn't, okay?
Well, you've heard from the legislators on the Committee of Natural Resources. So government last week, of course, they presented this bill, they tabled it on the floor of Parliament, and it was sent to the Committee of Natural Resources to start scrutinizing it. The committee has to meet all stakeholders regards to this bill, and yesterday it was the Ministry of Energy, and today, who are the sole sponsors of this bill, and today they have met some of the companies, the middlemen who have been in the stakeholders. Yeah. So legislators are saying, of course, yes, the Constitution does not permit government to because it for government to bring a monopoly for only that vital, there has to be amendments in the Constitution.
Of course.
Yeah, but some legislators are saying these middlemen, these people who are dealing in the petroleum industry, have for so long kept quiet when prices of fuel escalated, and Ugandans were crying out loud. We need to find a solution to the fuel problem.
True.
Now that they see that government has come out to deal with Vital, to give a monopoly to supply, to do the supplying.
Actually, UNOC is going to get the monopoly, but it will have Vital, the company, supplying.
Yeah, exactly. So now they are coming out to give advice, to give the solutions to the fuel. Where were they then when we're having issues to do with fuel prices.
So you feel like this is planned and they waited for the time to just jump in and take opportunity?
Exactly, because according to legislators, they interfaced with these companies, some of these companies, Maersk, and then there's E3 Energy, it's an energy company still, and so many others which they will interact with in the due time, because the committee was given 15 days to look at this bill and then bring it back to Parliament for passing.
But you said that UNOC is said to have the monopoly on the local supply of petroleum products, but
yes,
they are still negative energy. There are those who are not supporting it.
Yeah, these the stakeholders. I'm saying, if they do not want UNOC to solely take the monopoly to distribute petroleum
products,
they are bringing suggestions to the committee right now.
Okay.
But remember, before, when we were having issues to do with fuel, the committee interacted with them. They did not give any solutions then. But now they see that government is going to take away this thing, and then it will
maybe for a broader context. Just last week, His Excellency released a press statement in regards to this very thing, and then he explained the history on how he even found out that there have been middlemen that have been robbing us, selling us a barrel of crude oil at 118, and yet we can get it directly at something close to $79.
I think it was too costly.
Yes, and he's backing the sole deal of having a sole importer, which is Britain, whichever company they choose. The only problem is that now they are tabling it before Parliament, and of course such insights and opinions and different opinions about the matter are expected to rise. The problem is that we have middlemen in the supply chain. We want to cut them out. Everyone has agreed to that, including the president. But the issue now is on how to do it, or if we have to make a wise decision, or if we have to check to see if these people are not indeed opportunists, because for the times we've been crying to them for fuel, they have not helped, and then now when an opportunity has presented themselves, they're willing, of course, because I've been looking at the portfolio of this company. It is very big, highly ranked. One of the leading, trading energy that supply, that import for most companies. They even are contracted by, shell companies, Total and the rest, to just, bring in fuel. So if there is if the middleman is capped out, well and good. But if the policy is not going to favor at the end of the day, and we find ourselves in the same boat, then just like the member of Parliament said, she condemns, but then blames the Parliament.
Then blames these middlemen. Where were they? They were all keeping quiet and getting all this money from Ugandans, because for them they were benefiting obviously when the prices go high. And the issue is now they are panicking. That is what I'm seeing right now. They are panicking, bringing all this and this, because they asked for all this before. The committee called them. The prices are high. Bring a solution.
Hopefully, we should be able to get a resolution.
You don't
within the next 15 days, especially with Museveni backing.
Yeah.
Of course, I know we still have more in trending today, and I think Kaniba should just take the lead now.
Yeah, more in trending today. We are looking at climate resilient crop manuals, which have been introduced by Ministry of Agriculture. Today, the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Animal Industry, in collaboration with various stakeholders, introduced instructional manuals aimed at assisting farmers in cultivating crops resilient to the challenges posed by global climate change. Ministry representatives have shared that they have initiated this initiative with crops such as potatoes, sesame, and with plans to extend their efforts to additional cash crops
in the future.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. We can first have that, and then
we'll come back to studios and shed more light on it.
Culture that we, in partnership with SNV, our technical people have been able to come up with these manuals, and the timeliness of these manuals is very, very, very important, because it has come at the time we are implementing a parish development model, which is supposed to transform our poor communities to middle income status. So these manuals are like guiding tools to mitigate the effects of climate change.
Were developed because of the issues of climate change that are prevalent the world over. So in these manuals for soybean, sesame, potato, and sunflower, we look at an introduction and overview of what climate change is doing to the agriculture subsector. But also we look at the process, the whole value chain of growing and actual utilization of these commodities, right from ground preparation, the planting processes of managing the garden, processes of pest and disease control, aspects of post-harvest and value addition, and even marketing at the end of it.
Basically, one of the key things that we are doing within SNV is to contribute to increase incomes of smallholder farmers, also improve productivity. But we are also aware that climate change is a big issue, which is affecting food security. So our manuals, contribution to the manuals, is one of the efforts that we've done in order to provide more knowledge within the sector in terms of how you can actually help farmers to become more resilient. So if you can see the manual, you find that they give options in terms of practices, in terms of technologies that can help the farmers to become more resilient.
This is the Ministry of Agriculture together with the stakeholders in the industry. They have brought manuals for farmers that crop climate resilient.
To the effects of climate change.
Exactly. You know, we have, of course, issues of climate change are with us. Some people can be deceived with this rain, but in the coming months, the rains will stop, and of course, it will dry out. And the farmers will still cry out. We cannot plant our crops. Crops do not come back, whatever. So they have brought manuals to guide farmers on how to plant certain cash crops that are climate resilient.
In a certain period of time. That's also very important.
Climate resilient.
Yeah.
They can grow in any climate change. In any climate change season. They can grow during the rainy season. They can grow during the dry season. And they made some examples. They started with the potatoes and that word.
Sesame and soybeans. They are looking at extending the facility to other cash crops in the future.
Yeah.
But of course, I know SNV is very pertinent on these issues and deliberate, that's the word. And on several occasions, they have come out and they injected a lot of money in agriculture. We have seen the same in animal. And of course, I like that this is happening at the wake of what is happening with climate change and what we're seeing with the rains. And of course, I mean, we have to have crops, we have to have food.
Exactly, we have to have food during this.
I think it's a good initiative from MAIF, SNV, and the other stakeholders to help farmers. I hope farmers adapt. And the monies are easy for them to.
You know, we have stubborn Ugandans and stubborn farmers. They will say, these crops, this type of crops you're introducing is these are GMOs. They will
that's
change
another
the
debate.
Exactly, that's another debate. But all in all, this is it's quite a good initiative, because sometimes during the dry seasons, we find that people don't have what to eat. People don't have food. But if they can read and then get to know the methods, they can be helped on even actually the manuals go up to as far as value addition and marketing. They can know they can help themselves to get out of poverty, at the same time get what to eat, on what to feed their families.
Still in line with climate change, I believe Pedson does have a story in regards to that.
Yeah, of course. Today, stakeholders have advocated for better financing plan that considers a low-carbon, climate-resilient economy and leaving no one behind as goals of eco-importance. These stakeholders believe that it requires to have a just clean energy transition, not only in Uganda, but Africa as a whole. Remember, you're looking at climate change and energy transition, but there's the problem of lack of finance. And then some stakeholders from the Ministry of Environment and Water are advocating to have a better financing plan than to reach to a better clean energy transition. Let's have a look at this that was organized by CRT in Uganda, and then we come back to studio.
Therefore, in the just transition, it requires financing. Somebody was talking about financing, and me, I was looking at law because he was busy. So you cannot effectively move into a just transition when you don't have adequate resources. And to have adequate resources, there have to be a financing plan. As simple as that. Because what are you just transitioning to, isn't it? You want to do a number of things which needs plan, which needs technology, which needs resources. So a just transition is very effective to achieve when you have adequate resources, to achieve the two, low carbon, climate resilient, and the equity, leaving nobody behind.
So what's energy transition? And how is it related to climate change? Energy transition is about a shift. You transition from fossil fuels, using oil, using gas, using coal, to climate-friendly clean energy. Some people call it green growth, green energy, clean energy. All those are terms. But the issue, you are shifting to clean energy. And clean energy is about wind, solar, hydrogen, electricity, clean. And the science tells us that fossil fuels, they are the primary driver of climate change and global warming. That when you use coal and oil, you know, that it goes into the atmosphere, those green gas emissions, they do something in the atmosphere, they cause climate change. We get drought, we get blah, blah. And when you look at what's going on with those people who are going for the COP meeting, the Paris Agreement is telling us that our planet can no longer sustain the pollution. So something has to be done.
Yes, that's Jane Nalunga and of course Mohammed Semamba from the Ministry of Environment and Water. We've been having financing problems, and it should be noted that the major barriers to just energy transition is high cost of capital, technology, access, and of course infrastructure limitations. During the dialogue to promote an Afrocentric energy transition organized by CRT in Uganda, stakeholders therefore advocated for better planning, finance planning, of course, that considers a low carbon, climate resilient economy in Africa to realize a just clean energy transition. Remember, we are also getting to a COP28 that's going to be in UAE, so we should look forward to even find means of getting monies that are supposed to be remitted to poor Africans that are going to look into towards climate change. So that's very important. We should find means, because we've been fighting. We've been joining this COP28. You remember we started with COP27. Now we're coming to COP28. But have we reaped what we want? Have we got what we want? Remember, there are some monies that are supposed to be given to all African countries in regard to climate change mitigation, and we have not received that money. Ever since we started all the COPs, now we're going to COP28, we have the issues of climate financing. What should we expect right now from the COP28 that is set to be in the UAE these days?
I think the question of energy transition should be between, is it an energy transition or energy integration? I remember there was a debate that was held, I think earlier this year or last year at the petroleum, this year at the petroleum conference, the petroleum conference, where professors were arguing between, is it an energy integration or energy transition? For the first time, we are yet to receive our own oil. Yes, we're talking about fossil fuels like they mentioned. And what have we been using now? We are using electricity for the most part, and we want and now they are advocating for electric motor vehicles. But we have now, I want you to look at this picture. We are yet to receive our first oil in 2025.
True.
And they are now also advocating for electric mobility.
True.
Wouldn't want to be on the levels of cities like London, where you cannot drive without an electric bus, without an electric car, where it is mandatory for you to have an electric car. Even when if it's hybrid, you would be in trouble, at a point. So the question or the conversation, is it between an energy integration or energy transition? On the other hand, we are advocating for clean energy cooking solutions, using electricity and the like, using better fuels for our car, using electricity, everything. But then, how much are we losing? How much forest cover are we losing to firewood, and what is happening? The other day we had a story about the saunas where people are using firewood. So the question should be, is it an energy transition or energy integration? And for me, in my opinion, I think it should be an energy integration, not energy transition. We cannot transition without knowing where we're going. We already have limitations of financing.
Yeah, we have lots of barriers.
Yes. So I think we should wholly embrace all these energy transition mitigation measures. Let it be fossil fuels. The other day they were launching nuclear power plants. Let it be coal. Let it be electricity. As long as we can eradicate the forest, the number of forest cover, the amount of forest cover we're losing to people that are cutting down the trees, and now they're contributing to the biomass that is, emitting.
So your own opinion, you're saying we should look at energy integration.
Yes, integrate with more energy. With more energy products as possible, other than looking at transitioning, because we do not have the capacity.
Even we don't have the infrastructures. You've talked about the automated cars that do not use petrol. But still, do we have the places where we charge those cars from? For example, if you can ask.
We do not.
We have very few of them. We have very few, if not two, in the whole country. So I think we have a lot to do.
I think it's a step in the right direction for whatever we are taking, but we should embrace others. Right? I don't think enough light has been put on the nuclear power plants.
See, the cost of any renewable equipment, it might be cheap, but in the long run, it tends to be cheap. It might be expensive when you're buying it.
Yeah, obviously.
Any renewable equipment seems to be expensive.
You know how much?
But when you start using it in the long run, it becomes cheap. Like, for example, let me talk about gas. Gas. It is expensive to buy it. But when you start using it, you realize how cheap it is in the long run.
Yes.
You get, if you compare with the charcoal, you get. So that's it. That's the whole economics behind that.
Yeah. So we should embrace all the renewable energies that they are. Let's even give more light to nuclear energy. Let's talk about what the biodigesters do and how much we are getting fertilizers from them. There is really so much electricity, like you mentioned, gas. I mean, all this as we anticipate our first oil, of course, in 2025. But of course, moving on with what's trending today. Today, NSSF has overhauled its whistleblower platform, and out of 36,426 registered employers, only 20,782 are actively remitting or contributing to the fund, giving a compliance rate of 57%. Now listen to this. NSSF has upgraded the whistleblower portal to increase the social security compliance to enable members report defaulting employers in a seamless manner and ultimately increase compliance rate at 60% in this current financial year of 2023-2024. The data above simply means that 15,000 employers in this country are not complying, and they are cheating their employees of their retirement savings over the last 2 years. 8.9 billion shillings has so far been collected from the cases that have been, tabled in the legal action. It should also be noted that so far there are 390 court cases in regards to non-compliance. We do have a clip, and I would like us to see it, and then we can come back.
I'm very eager to watch this story.
Yeah.
Several engagements with employers in different parts of this country. We have urged them to fulfill their statutory obligations of remitting social security contributions for their employees. We have even offered amnesty to help them comply. However, there are still a few stubborn employers. According to our data, only 20,000 of the 36,000 registered employers are actively remitting contributions to the fund every month. This gives us a compliance rate of only 57%. And compliance for us means that the employer is remitting the contribution on time, which is by the 15th, and in full. That's what compliance means to us. That's meet those two criteria. The data above means that over 15,000 employers are not complying. And really, in reality, they're cheating the employees of their retirement savings. The sad news is that only 107 cases are being reported monthly by the employees and the members. In a bid to empower members, I'd like to inform our members, therefore, that we have revamped and updated our web-based whistleblower platform that can be used by aggrieved employees to report on their employers who fail to meet their social security contribution to the fund as required by the law. The platform will help us work actively with our members to go after their employers so that they meet their NSF contributions plus any accrued interest. The whistleblower's identity, there's an option the whistleblower picks. The whistleblower's identity is not revealed to either the fund or the employer, so the whistleblower is protected. Automatic tracking of reported cases. Once a whistleblower goes and makes a report, they can actually track and see how far the case has gone and what resolutions have been made in that case. And then finally, it has also an option where now it allows government labor inspectors to report on government contractors and any other employers who stubbornly refuse to contribute to the fund as per the new NSSF Act. Once we receive a complaint from a whistleblower, we initiate investigations. Should we prove that the allegation is true, the employer is offered an opportunity to comply and settle the matter amicably. Where the employer stubbornly refuses to cooperate, other drastic measures come into force, including prosecution and the application of the punitive penalties permitted by the law. Over the last 2 years, we have recovered over 8.9 billion shillings through litigation by taking employers to court. We currently have over 309 cases and expect to recover even more with this new whistleblower platform we are launching today. I really appeal to our...
So yeah, that's pretty much it. Over 15,000 employers in the country right now are not remitting their employees NSSF or their retirement benefits. The current social security is at 11%, implying that 11% of Ugandans, of working Ugandans, do not have social security. The compliance is at 57%, implying that only 36,000, over 36,000, only 20,000 are complying. So we need also to note that there are over 390 court cases right now that are still pending. And out of those, for the last 2 years, 8.9 billion shillings has been recovered.
But I have something I want to ask. I don't know, there are some companies that are still young. You get? Mm-hmm. They are not yet there. And then NSSF is on their neck that they should be compliant. How do they also want these young companies? A young company, I mean a company that has just started. You get? Let's assume I have my company, I'm just 1 year old and I haven't started making profits. Do I need to be compliant?
Companies like that are usually smart. They do not register. We're talking about companies that are registered. And actually this whistleblower portal allows you to even report government. Mm-hmm. And the best feature about it is that you can do all this anonymously. You don't have to, your details don't have to remain with these people. So, of course, to report, they also made it clear that some of you might be having beef with your employers that you want to lie. That is also another case altogether in case you want to lie. Okay. You have to know the requirements for you before you table your complaint that they are not remitting your NSSF. And including those, of course, we know you have to have a contract with a company formally, or you formally recognize that you have a relationship with a certain company and you work with them.
But this Rona, this is 390 court cases still pending. And these are the people who are
and
not
there are more.
compliant.
These are just the ones that they have got for the last 2 years.
300 and whatever.
But guys, why are you not complying?
That is too much. That is too much. What are they doing to finish up these cases?
There are so many, yeah. And I think Mr. Ayota, when I asked him the question, he said that they have so far now solved about 50 and 8.9 billion shillings has been required. That's really so little compared to how much that could be made. But at least the litigation and the legal actions have been able to manifest, especially in these people that have not remitted their NSSF.
I don't know, I also want to look at some companies which are registered. The companies that are registered, but they are not yet ready to be compliant.
Remember,
and the truth is, I might be registered.
To
I might be registered, but when I don't have the capacity to remit the NSSF of my employees, you get. Why? Because I haven't started making money.
But
That's
before
it.
you register a company, before you start, it's mandatory.
It's a mandatory, but
Yes.
it's not a mandatory that I'll start making profits there and then. Then, if
They
what if
give
I
you-
don't
they
have
give you-
money?
They
What
give
if I
you a
don't have?
time. They give a time frame on how much. Let me tell you, there is even, by the way, NSSF is even in informal employment. You don't, but just that it's not voluntary. You just put in whenever you can. Today, Mr. Oyeta told me, for them, the issues of compliance are not that big because it's voluntary. You choose to do that. So maybe perhaps you're talking about informal employment, but now we're talking about formal employment. Even people that even work for government that are not remitting NSSF.
They are there.
Yes. 390 cases, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, imagine what's more.
Then
You know?
something has to be done and make sure we
So the
get this money.
whistleblower platform gives you anonymity. You can file your complaint.
But also some
anonymously.
companies are not saving with NSSF.
So if
They rather
I file
save
my
with
complaint,
this
they
other
want.
security.
Let me tell you, National Social Security Fund is mandatory. Regulated under Uganda Retirement Benefits Authority.
True, yes.
You are supposed, as a must, it's like how you say you are supposed to have a name.
Makerere University has their.
Makerere University has MABS, and MABS is under Uganda Retirement Benefits. Their regulator is SUBRA, we know that. And they are close to 4. There is NSSF, the biggest, and then MABS. And actually MABS is even competing with NSSF because they have a big portfolio, very big. Their amounts, their portfolio is in billions.
Others are coming up.
They are yet to get in 1 billion MABS, and then there is that one of the security forces, the police, and then the rest. So there are 4 all under UBRA, retirement benefits. Mandatory, you're supposed to have a social security. And like I mentioned, the compliance rate is at 57%, and 11% of working Ugandans do not have a social security.
Okay, we hope to expound more about that very story. Serona, if you can take us through the Airtel IPO and what it means to the telecommunication giant.
I think we're going to do that immediately after the break. I think you just have to stay tuned and, watch the space.
Smart 24, driving business.
Era tutukanga olw'omuntu nti nigasita ndala mukaaga itaano sita isatu ash onige yes
ngawo bakubuuza
nga bamubuuza machanti code nga tumukoba atamu nsanvu bino olumalirizawo ng'atamu esente dali kuwayo kumbaga ya mwenemu saawa yeneyo nga kyabazinga amwebaza nga tweyongere kayi tujja mu kyalo ekindi
ekikoba embaga olunawa luti nga mwira
tulijja kumala kayi tweyongere emyezi mukaaga nga tukasomesa abantu momope
baba embaga ya mwenemu eriyo nga 18 kayi emyezi omukaaga gy'oli kwongeramu
olidina ebya momope abantu yembite yona bandeta momo ono bibali kumpaka nebya momope abidi kyama kupikipiki ojo bisomese
muleke musoniwe tyamaja
baba tuuka bulungi
simbula embalasi asumuludde
momo nyabo.
Pay or shop with MTN Momo and get cash back every week. It's free of charge. Use the Momo app or dial *165*3#. Smart 24, driving business.
Now in company news, of course, we look at Airtel and how it was listed on the USE just on Monday. Of course, amid this low activity compared to what we saw in 2021 with MTN. Airtel Uganda, whose IPO returned a subscription of 54.45%, is the second telecom company and the 19th to list on the Uganda Securities Exchange under the National Broadband Policy, which demands that telecommunication companies sell at least 20% of their shares to Ugandans. However, its IPO was undersubscribed by 45.55% on Monday, and of course with low activity, attracting a total of subscribers of 4,614, while total proceeds amounted to 211.43 billion shillings out of the 800 billion that it had anticipated to make from the offer. It should be noted that the company offered 8 billion, 20% of shares to the public at 100 shillings per share. The National Social Security Fund, of course. And
of course, the National Social Security Fund purchased shares worth 199 billion shillings. That's approximately 10.55% of the total outstanding shares of the company. Now, trending of shares, the National Social Security Fund, the Uganda Securities Exchange started today, November 7th at exactly 9, and will be put up to the 11th of this month following the offer. Professional investors will hold 10.55, that's percent of the total shares outstanding of the Airtel. So Uganda, with retail investors holding 0.34%. Now, MTN Uganda went public in 2021, having raised that's 535.9 billion shillings from 64% of the 4.5 billion shares it had offered. I like the competition between the two telecommunication giants, but when it comes to selling or trading shares, I mean, they are doing well. Yeah. Well, it had anticipated, like I mentioned, to make 800 billion, but unfortunately it only made 211.43 billion, selling each share at 100 per share. Okay. And of course, MTN went public in 2021 and made a subscription of 64%, where it earned 535.9 billion shillings, and all were sold at 4.5 billion shares it had offered at the time. It should also be noted that NSSF was their biggest purchaser with 199 billion shillings. And of course, just like I was asking how NSSF makes money, yet they are crying of issues of non-compliance, we already know where they invest. And yes, you could also maybe invest. I mean, this is just putting in money and sitting and waiting, and then you wait on luck. It's good to buy shares, Hanifa. You see, this is some of the information that people don't know, but there's a way how people are making money outside there. You just go to, let's say, MTN, MTN is our shares here, and you buy shares. After buying your shares, sit down and you read the trading on your laptop. You're making money, you're making money. I've seen some of the, you see, it depends on the trend, how the dollar goes, the fluctuations of the dollar. If the dollar is now high, that means you're making money. If the dollar is low, that means you also earn little. You also earn little. That's it. But I'm telling you, people who have got their own money, I've been following some of the rich guys around here. He gets around 300 million and buys shares and keeps quiet in his sitting room. He's making money. And then he will not only buy from MTN, he will also go to Airtel. And then he starts trading, starts selling. Sometimes they even sell. They sell these shares. If you want share, you come to me, I buy you. I sell you, I mean to say, or you sell it to me. So that's the business that is going on outside there. That's pretty much it in regards to the Airtel IPOs. I hope
that by end of when they have removed them from the trading, once the trading is done, they should be able to make some money, because of course, like I mentioned, they didn't make the money they had anticipated, and MTN beat them to it. And then being the second to be listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange and the 19th company also to be listed, they are bound by the National Broadband Policy to be listed and of course sell 20% of their shares to all Ugandans, because it's mandatory, or it's a policy that they have to follow. But still in company news, we can now look at wetland restoration, a wetland restoration partnership, where last year Cabinet approved a plan for sustainable environmental and natural resource management. The national wetland cover decreased from 15.6% in 1994 to 13% in 2019, prompting an MOU between Total Energies Uganda and the Ministry of Water and Environment. And this 5-year partnership aims to protect and restore wetlands and riparian vegetation in the key areas, including Maction Falls, Albert Delta, Lake Albert, and surrounding micro-catchments, as well as rivers that flow into Lake Albert. The goal is to support the sustainable development of the Tilenga project and benefit the local host communities. Let's have a clip and then come back.
Colleagues, it is no secret that the country is experiencing unsustainable use and degradation of its wetland resources. The national wetlands cover reduced from 37,559 kilometers, that is about 15.6% in 1994, to 31,412 kilometers square, which is about 13% in 2019. According to the National State of the Wetland Report 2019, of the 13%, only 8.9% is intact, while 4.1% is under some form of degradation. Wetlands degradation is highest in Eastern region, which stands at 40%, followed by Central at 26%, Northern region, and then Western region. I'm positive that this collaboration will contribute to halting this loss, as well as contributing to our realization of the priorities of the 10-year restoration plan, the National Development Plan 3, and Vision 2040.
The wetlands of the Lake Albert that are of critical importance to a wide range of fish and bird species. So we are targeting the Maction Falls Albert Delta wetland ecosystem.
Well, yeah, that's part of the Tilenga Biodiversity Program. Of course, that is a project that is being operated.
So this is a partnership.
Yes, it's being operated by Total Energies Uganda, and of course, this partnership, this 5-year partnership, is meant to restore the wetlands in the areas where they are operating in the Albertine region, some parts of Maction Falls, and then Albert Delta, and then the catchments of Lake Albert, and the other vegetation, the riparian vegetation around the area where they are going to operate to restore the wetlands. They say that they are only touching 0.1% of the surface in the Maction Falls National Park. Okay. So they intend to restore whatever vegetation that they destroy by doing that. So basically, we should be able to go there and we see the pilot study that was conducted, and then we see if they are indeed restoring the wetlands.
Yeah, if they are indeed going to do this, this is quite a good move, because everyone is worried about the climate change, the environment that is going to be destroyed with this oil coming. But if they are coming up and doing this, you said it's going to be for 5 years?
Yes.
It is good.
But let us also call for more partnerships. We shouldn't look at only Alberta region. Let other stakeholders come together, make partnerships and restore this.
Yes, because the biggest part that is destroyed of wetlands is actually within the central and northern. The wetlands are destroyed. They are the biggest encroached. 40%, 60% of the wetlands in Central. The other day we saw what Nema was doing at Ruriji. But we were running with them, and the police was running and then removing. People were crying. The hawkers on the streets, they removed them, everything. It was bad. It was a bad day for those.
But do you know those things? Do you know they have politicized those things?
Lake Victoria is being encroached on by business people. These rich,
the untouchables.
The untouchables. How can they come and start claiming our lake? This is our.
That's why I'm saying
Victoria?
the issue of restoring wetlands is somehow being politicized. You will realize that people who are encroaching on these wetlands are the big fish.
The big fish, yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about them.
They are not touched.
I don't know them, but we have had, of course, people. I'm a journalist. I've had people telling us in Kakun's there and tell us, do you know the owner of this building? It is in the wetland, but it belongs to so and so, and there's nothing you can do. So that's another big problem we have.
The national wetland cover decreased from 15% in 1994 to now 13% in 2019. Now this is 2019. Fast forward how many years from 2019? It could be 5 or 4, something like that. Imagine that, 4 years from 2019. Imagine now it should be like in 10%, perhaps even a single figure. It is how much we are losing of the wetland cover.
It's quite absurd.
Yeah.
Absurd.
And then we're losing forests and we're losing wetlands, and now we are calling for funding from COP28 of climate change. Yet we are failing here.
Of which we're not sure whether that funding will come over. Because that money they have promised us a long time.
Floods, yet we are the ones destroying.
Bad news. But of course, moving on with company news, and as we head towards the end of our bulletin today, Lead and Ernst Young have launched the NED Awards 2023 under the theme of Excellence and Stewardship. These awards aim to honor the non-executive directors for their pivotal role in business success in Uganda and East Africa at large. Celebrating the expertise and, of course, contributions, the NED Awards cover various categories, including listed companies, private and public sectors, not-for-profit sectors, lifetime achievement, and emerging non-executive directors. The CEO of LEAD, Ms. Fiona Wall, sees these awards as a platform for the NEDs aspiring to excel in governance, and Eunice Waweru from the Uganda Breweries expresses pride in participation, while the co-chair from the NED Awards, Mr. Sam Tulime, thanks members for nominations and also highlights the role of ensuring excellence as the quality assurance part of the NED Awards. Let's have a clip and then we come back.
Will probably be the largest we've held before, because in the past it used to be very exclusive, but we have widened. And we're going to have many categories. We're going to have categories in the listed companies. We're going to have categories in the public sector, private sector, the NGO sector, and we're also going to make space for upcoming non-executive directors that might not necessarily come from maybe even the SME space. We also are very happy to announce that we're going to have a special keynote, and I'll ask Sandra to give us more detail about
actually taking time out of our busy schedule. Honor and celebrate all these great minds, all the NEDS members who have been instrumental in how we're setting up our business going forward, ensuring that we have the right governance in place, we have the right accountability in place, and ensuring that this business will operate in a sustainable way into the future. Our theme for this event is Excellence in Stewardship. Excellence in stewardship involves a lot of things and a lot of heavy hitting, which I believe the NED members have achieved through the year. So anyone who's been nominated, for me, is honestly a winner in the NEDS Awards, because we know that the board members in today's world carry a lot of responsibility as far as how these businesses are running, the ethics behind the business, how they're performing. So for me, it just gives me a great pleasure to be part of celebrating these people with all the work, all the sacrifice that they give on a day-to-day basis to ensure that we're running ethical businesses.
Governance aspects clearly, and that everyone who comes will learn from it, requires a lot of work, and we've been having various meetings to prepare for this. We can't pull this off without the support of our board, and want to thank the board members of LEAD who are here and the ones who are not here for working with us and supporting and giving us the mandate to arrange this event. But we also want to thank all the participants and all those who have nominated various directors. can you imagine having an event like this without people to give their awards to? I think it would be a complete sham.
It would be a sham indeed if they had, those events with no one to give the awards to. But of course, these are awards basically to uplift governance and give morale to the
How Smart was represented.
Very much so, of course, by myself. We'll see a picture trending somewhere.
They told me you came late. Okay.
I did say. But then, yeah, so the non-executive directors awards are slated for November the 23rd, and they're going to be at Sheraton. And of course, Smart 24 TV is also a partner, media partner, so you should be able to see our polar banners there. And of course, other media partners, and then you have companies like UBL, Britam, Centenary Bank, NCBA, and quite huge amounts of money have been given to award, these non-executive directors.
Okay.
And to continue uplifting them to excel in the stewardship and governance. That's pretty much it.
That's good. I also want to make my company one time and I get awarded by the same guys. You get
Maybe you don't have to wait that far.
That is going to come anytime from now. So that being said, I'm thinking this is the time we should be getting off the air right now and we get prepared for another program as Business Leroy is getting steady to give us what is happening in the business world in Uganda.
I believe Hanifa has insights on what we should anticipate from our colleague Brian Alvin's Bugera.
Yeah, of course, Alvin has much more, and some of it we have discussed here, but he's going to give amplify it in our local language, in the central local language in Uganda, for our Uganda viewers. Please stay tuned. Don't dive it.
They shouldn't touch the dial. But of course, thank you so much for having joined us. You that always tunes in at 6 p.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to tune in and watch this business show where we bring you insights. We promise we're going to be doing better with time. But of course, that's what made today's headlines. NSSF whistleblowers portal, Airtel's IPOs, and it being listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange, what we saw with Ministry of Agriculture, and of course the Petroleum Supply Amendment Bill and the Energy Transition or Integration Conversation. Thank you so much for having joined us. As always, I'm Rwanda Habwe. And if you missed this, you could watch on our YouTube channel and follow our social media platforms to be up to speed with the business news within the region. Good evening.
Is my joy. Ono bulu magic, wange.